get in our next guest. In fact, we've got Madhavan Menon, who is the Managing Director of Thomas Cook India, joining in. Thank you so much, Mr. Menon, for taking the time. I think to a certain extent, some of your investors getting a little bit jittery on the back of the questions that are being raised about the latest variant of the COVID-19 virus. Could you give us a sense as to what the situation is right now? Is there a worry that this could play spoil sport? Are you girding for another round of volatility in the business that you operate?
Good morning, Alex, and thank you for having me on. A very important day in all our lives. So obviously this news that came in over the weekend. I think, Alex, it's very early days, and if you look at all the specialists, all the experts saying that, while what reaction we've seen is primarily the initial reaction, we need to wait for data. And our expectation is that over the next couple of days, we will see more data. Having said that, this is the new normal. These new statements have sort of appeared from time to time over the last few months. Just a week ago, Germany talked about a spike. We had the Netherlands talking about a spike, and all these have sort of passed through the system. So right now, we're not expecting any abnormalcy. We're continuing as if business is as normal. We have seen very few cancellations over the weekend. Yes, we've seen a couple, but I don't think that represents a trend in any way. We'll continue watching that. But having said that, I think beginning of this year, we formulated a policy of flexible cancellation so that we would not put the customer at any risk in terms of their bookings and all other aspects of the booking. So my expectation is that till further notice or further news on or evidence on what this new variant can do, I think we'll just treat things as normal.
Good morning, Mr. Menon. I take your point that, this is the new normal, the times are certainly uncertain. But the fact is, it is the holiday season. People had plans for New Year's, people had plans for Christmas. We'd open up international travel as well. Have you already started seeing cancellations?
No, we haven't. We've not seen any cancellation to represent a trend. We have seen a couple, and that's in single digits. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's only normal to see reactions of this kind. People are waiting. I think 2 years in this environment has taught us to be a lot more patient and wait for data and other conclusions to arrive before making decisions. On the back of it, I must again reiterate that our flexible cancellation policy has given these customers the confidence that if things were to change, we would cancel for them on demand.
These days, there is a global rage also of revenge travel. We've seen, ticket prices really shoot up, hotel prices that have really shoot up. It is expensive, and, there is obviously a really big demand for it. So for all of those who have not booked the holiday season, are watching out to see how the variant plans are also jittery. Do you think that holidays will be as expensive? I'm talking about Christmas, New Year's, as we were thinking it would be a fortnight ago, given this uncertainty?
On the domestic front, I expect hotel rates to remain where they are at the moment because demand far outpaces supply, and that is an issue. And you'll appreciate a lot of hotels are still finding it difficult to fully staff their hotels, and therefore, rooms are taking a little time to come back into circulation. But the reality is that we need to wait and watch on the international front. As you're aware, the government announced on Friday that they would reopen the air borders, if I can use that, for many airlines. My expectation is that in the new year, we will see a settling down of rates, both airfares as well as hotel rates. And my expectation is that by the end of the first quarter, when our season actually starts, you will see things go back to normal. But Christmas and New Year is going to remain on the expensive side, but we've seen no shortage of bookings despite the higher rates. We are still seeing a lot of demand into the Maldives. We're seeing a lot of demand into Goa, into Rajasthan, into Kerala has suddenly reappeared on the scene as things have got better there. We're seeing a lot of demand in the Andamans. And of course, Dubai. I mean, despite hotel rates being up, airfares being very high, there is demand.
Yeah. You know, the fact of the matter is, Mr. Menon, that this has happened to us before as well, right? When during the first wave, second wave, do you sense that demand could spring back even if there is, you know, a countrywide, you know, in India or abroad, restriction on air travel, which has already happened to some of the South African countries? But will demand spring back with as much gusto as it did perhaps post the second wave, irrespective of how you know, widespread this new variant actually turns out to be, and I hope not?
So I think if you look at what happened pre the first wave or even the second wave, and today a lot of things are different. The reality is that many more people, I think 120, 120 crore people have been vaccinated, at least on the first vaccine, and many on the second vaccine. The reality is that the world, including India, is far better equipped to deal with this situation. So, you know, I don't actually see a major dip unless something goes very seriously wrong, and there is no evidence of that at the moment. And therefore, what we've witnessed over the weekend, in my opinion, is a very initial reaction. And if there is no evidence of it being a super spreader or whatever, the reality is things will go back to normal very quickly. I have seen reports about the fact that since we're all vaccinated, the reality is transmission will be far lighter than it was in the second wave. We also the expectation is that hospitalization will not be such a serious issue this time because of the number of people who are vaccinated.